The desert was silent after the storm. Ethan Cole, a human engineer on a remote mining planet, walked through the dark sand. His flashlight flickered as he searched for the crashed signal he had picked up an hour ago. The air smelled of burnt metal and dust. Every step crunched like broken glass. He was tired, hungry, and alone. The last man still working after the other miners left the station weeks ago. He thought the signal might be a broken drone or an old pod. He never expected to find her. When the beam of light hit the small crater, Ethan froze. A silver-blue capsule was half buried in the sand. Its surface was cracked, smoke rising from the seams. He climbed down carefully and pulled open a panel. Inside, a girl lay unconscious, her skin pale with a faint golden glow. Her hair looked almost alive, like soft threads of light. Ethan's first thought was simple. She's not human. Her body armor had strange symbols. Nothing like the Earth fleet. The display inside the capsule blinked in a language he had never seen. Yet she looked young, almost human, fragile even. He checked her pulse, slow but steady. Her breathing was weak. He hesitated. Bringing an alien back to the station could mean trouble. The law was clear. Any unknown life form must be reported immediately. But the idea of leaving her to die under the cold stars felt wrong. He whispered, "Hang on, whoever you are." Then he lifted her out of the capsule. At the mining shelter, he placed her on the medical bed. The small room hummed with the low sound of machines. The wind outside howled against the metal walls. Ethan wiped the dust from her face and connected a scanner. The screen blinked red, confused by her biology. Her heartbeat pattern didn't match any database. "She's alive," he said softly, "but I have no idea how." Her eyes suddenly opened, bright silver like liquid light. Ethan stepped back in shock. The girl gasped, then spoke a few broken words, voice trembling. "Where am I?" "Safe," he said quickly. "You crashed. I found you." She looked around the room, panic in her eyes. "No, they will come." "Who will come?" he asked. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her chest. She winced and fell back. "The hunters," she whispered. "They will find me." Before Ethan could ask more, the power lights flickered. The wind outside turned into a roar. The scanner beeped. A new energy signal appeared nearby, moving fast toward the station. Ethan ran to the radar screen. 3 objects were descending through the storm. Not ships, something smaller, alive maybe. The scanner couldn't identify them. He looked at the girl. She was trembling, trying to speak. "Please, don't let them take me." Ethan grabbed his old plasma rifle from the wall. "Don't worry," he said. "No one's taking you." Outside, the storm hit full force. Sand and lightning danced in the air. Ethan stood at the door, rifle ready. Through the dust, he saw shapes moving. Tall, thin figures with glowing eyes. They moved fast, almost floating above the ground. The alien girl screamed, "They found me!" Ethan fired a warning shot into the night. The blast of blue light cut through the storm. The figures stopped, then vanished into the darkness. For a moment, everything was silent again except the storm's growl. He returned inside. The girl was breathing heavily, her eyes full of fear and confusion. "Who are they?" Ethan asked. "They... my own kind," she whispered. "But not my people anymore," he frowned. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for his hand, weak but desperate. "If you help me," she said softly, "they will come for you too." Ethan looked out the window again. The storm was fading, but strange lights still flickered in the distance, shadows that moved like watchers. He knew he should report her. He knew helping her could destroy everything he had left. But something deep inside him, that stubborn human instinct to protect, told him to stay. He turned back to her and said quietly, "Then let them come." Outside, unseen in the dark, one of the glowing figures spoke in a low, inhuman voice. "He has taken her. The tribe will decide his fate." The night after the storm was quiet, too quiet. Ethan barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those glowing figures in the sand. The alien girl, still weak, rested on the bed, her breathing shallow but steady. The medical light above her flickered softly, reflecting off her golden skin. She had told him her name before falling asleep. Lyra. A name that sounded human, but felt ancient. Ethan sat beside her, holding a mug of lukewarm coffee. "Lyra," he whispered, "what have I gotten myself into?" Morning came with a pale red sun rising over the dunes. The radar was silent. No movement. Ethan thought maybe the hunters she spoke of were gone. Maybe it was over. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't. As he repaired a broken power cell, Lyra woke up slowly. Her silver eyes blinked open, full of confusion. Where is this place? She asked weakly. A mining station. Planet K-47, Ethan replied. Far from any city. You're safe here for now. Lyra touched her chest, feeling the faint scars from the crash. You saved me, she said softly. Ethan gave a small smile. Couldn't just leave you in the sand. She looked at him for a long time, studying his face. Humans are strange, she whispered. You risk your life for someone you do not know. Ethan shrugged. That's kind of our thing. They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the wind picked up again. Ethan decided to learn more. You said they'll come for you, he said. Who are they? Lyra's eyes darkened. They are my sisters, she said slowly. The tribe of Ilaria. Once we protected our world. We were chosen to guard the energy of life and the heart core, but greed changed us. The elders started using it to control others. When I refused to serve them, they called me a traitor. So those figures, Ethan said, the ones from last night, they are the huntresses, Lyra finished. They never stop until their target is found. Ethan rubbed his face. Great, so I saved an alien fugitive. Lyra smiled faintly. And now you are part of my war. Before Ethan could reply, the base alarm beeped. Motion detected, just outside the perimeter. He ran to the monitor. The screen showed a group of forms moving toward the station. 12, maybe more. All women, tall and glowing faintly blue under the sunlight. Each carried a spear that pulsed with energy. They've found us, Ethan said under his breath. Lyra stood, still weak but determined. Do not fight them. They are strong, Ethan shook his head. Not fighting means dying. That's not how humans do things. He grabbed his rifle and checked the power core. Only 2 full charges left. Not enough for a battle. But he had something else. An old EMP grenade, half functional, but maybe enough to stun them. The ground trembled as the women approached. Their voices echoed through the sand, a haunting chant in an alien language. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped outside. The wind hit his face, carrying the sound of the tribe's chant. 12 figures stood at a distance, their silver eyes glowing. In front of them stood the tallest one, her armor gleaming like crystal. She spoke with calm authority. Human, you have something that belongs to us. Ethan tightened his grip on the rifle. She's not your property. The leader tilted her head slightly. You do not understand what she is. The one you protect carries the heart core inside her. It is not meant for your kind. Behind her, the others raised their spears and glowing brighter. Lyra stepped outside, her voice shaking but firm. I will not return to the tribe. Not after what you did. The leader's expression hardened. Then you force us to destroy you. And the human who hides you. Ethan threw the EMP grenade into the sand. A wave of blue light exploded outward, knocking the tribe back for a few seconds. The ground cracked, dust flying everywhere. He grabbed Lyra's hand. Run. They sprinted toward the canyon behind the station as the air buzzed with energy. Spears struck the ground behind them, leaving trails of fire. Lyra stumbled, but Ethan caught her and pulled her along. They reached a cave hidden between 2 cliffs. Ethan sealed the entrance with a metal hatch and sat down, breathing heavily. Lyra looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. You shouldn't have done that, he laughed weakly. Too late to worry now. Outside, the voices of the tribe echoed through the desert, searching. The leader's voice carried through the air. You cannot hide forever, human. The heart core will awaken, and when it does, both your worlds will burn. Ethan looked at Lyra, confused. What does she mean? Lyra lowered her head. The heart core. It's alive, and now it's waking up inside me. The cave lights flickered. The sand outside began to move on its own. Something deep beneath the planet started to rumble. Ethan realized this was only the beginning. The cave walls trembled as a deep humming filled the air. Ethan looked around, confused. The light from his wrist lamp flickered, casting long shadows. Sand fell from the ceiling with every pulse of that strange sound. What's happening? He asked, trying to stay calm. Lyra sat on the ground, eyes closed, her hands glowing faintly gold. It's starting, she whispered. The heart core inside me. It feels my fear. It's waking up, Ethan frowned. You mean that thing inside you and it's alive? Lyra opened her eyes. Not alive like you or me. It is energy. Conscious energy. It connects to minds. It remembers every emotion. Great, Ethan muttered. So it's basically a bomb with feelings. Lyra gave a faint smile. A bomb that can destroy worlds. Or heal them. Outside, the wind screamed through the desert. The tribe of Ilaria searched, scanning every dune and canyon. Their leader, Sarah, stood tall on a cliff, her eyes glowing bright blue. She cannot hide forever, Sarah said coldly. The Heartcore will respond to her soon enough. When it does, we follow the light. One of the younger warriors hesitated. Leader, what if the human protects her to the end? Sarah's face hardened. Then he dies with her. Inside the cave, Ethan tried to patch his radio, but the signals were dead. The EMP had fried every system within miles. He was trapped. No help, no contact. He glanced at Lyra. Her golden light grew brighter with every breath. The air around her shimmered like heat waves. Lyra, you need to rest, he said softly. I cannot, she replied. The core feeds on emotion. If I lose control, it will burn through me. Ethan kneeled beside her. Then let me help you. Tell me what to do. She looked at him, eyes full of sadness. You cannot help. Only calm can silence it. But calm is far from me. Then think of something peaceful, Ethan said. Something good. Lyra hesitated, then smiled faintly. When I was young, before the tribe changed, we sang to the moons at night. Our voices would echo in the mountains. It was pure. Then remember that, Ethan said. You're not alone now. Lyra closed her eyes again, whispering something in her own language. Slowly, the glowing faded to a soft pulse. The humming stopped. The cave fell silent again. Ethan exhaled. You did it. But Lyra shook her head. No, I only delayed it. The core is learning your world. It feels your air, your gravity, your life. It will call to the others soon. Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed through the canyon. The sound wasn't from the storm, it was mechanical. Ethan grabbed his scanner. Something big's moving outside. He crawled to a small crack in the rock and looked out. A massive silver ship hovered above the desert, sending waves of energy into the ground. Lyra's eyes widened. That's not the tribe. That's worse. Worse? Ethan asked. She nodded. Hunters from the void. Machines built by the old ones to capture the core if it escaped. They erase everything they find. Perfect, Ethan said. So now we've got angry women and killer robots after us. Lyra placed a hand on his arm. Ethan, I can protect you, but only once. After that, the core will break me. He shook his head. No way. We both make it out of this. The ground cracked as a metal probe drilled into the canyon. A swarm of flying machines poured out, scanning the rocks with red lights. Ethan aimed his rifle. Get behind me. No, Lyra said firmly. You get behind me. She stepped forward, raising her hand. The light from her palm exploded into the air like a golden storm. The machines froze mid-flight, their metal bodies twisting under invisible force. Ethan shielded his eyes as the whole cave filled with light. When it cleared, the drones were gone, melted into the sand like wax. Lyra fell to her knees, gasping. It's too strong. Ethan caught her before she collapsed. Her skin burned hot to the touch like fire beneath glass. Hey, stay with me, he said, her eyes flickered open. You need to go. When the core awakens fully, it will not know who I am. It will protect itself, even if that means destroying you. Ethan shook his head. I'm not leaving you, Lyra. I didn't save you to run away now. From above, a voice echoed through the desert. Sarah's voice, amplified by some alien device. Human. Give her to us, and you may live. Ethan looked at Lyra, then at the light forming under the sand. He could feel the heat, the power building, he whispered. If this is what humans do best, it's making bad decisions for the right reasons. He picked up his rifle, looked toward the entrance, and said, Let them come. Lyra's eyes glowed gold again, brighter than before. The cave shook, the rock splitting apart. And in that moment, as light filled the canyon, something ancient spoke through her voice. I am the Heartcore, and I have awakened. The canyon exploded with light. Rocks lifted into the air as golden waves burst from Lyra's body. Ethan covered his face, barely able to breathe. The sound wasn't thunder. It was like the roar of 1,000 voices crying out at once. When the light faded, Ethan looked around in shock. The cave was gone. The desert around him had changed. Sand had turned into glass, and strange glowing symbols floated in the air like dust frozen in time. Lyra stood in the center, her eyes pure gold. Her voice was not her own anymore. I am the heart core, I am the memory of stars. Ethan stepped closer. Lyra, can you hear me? She turned her head slowly, her face calm but distant. Lyra is here. But she is small now. The core remembers you, human. You touched the one who carries the light. That makes you part of its code. Ethan frowned. Part of what? The link, she said simply. You can feel it, can't you? He froze, and because she was right. Deep in his chest, he felt something. A faint hum like another heartbeat. When Lyra breathed, he felt it echo in him. What's happening to me? The bond, she said. You saved me. Now the core recognizes you as protector. That connection cannot be broken. High above, Sarah and her warriors watched from the cliffs. Their eyes widened at the sight of the golden storm below. She has merged with it completely, Sarah whispered. The core has chosen a human host to protect her. One of her guards asked, should we attack? Sarah shook her head slowly. Not yet. If we strike now, the core will destroy us all. We must wait until the link weakens. She looked down at Ethan through the smoke. But humans always fall. They are fragile. On the ground, Ethan tried to pull Lyra away from the glowing symbols, but the ground pulsed under his feet. Lines of light spread across the sand like roots, connecting everything in sight. Lyra, listen to me. You have to control it. I am trying, she said, her voice shaking between human and something else. It wants to speak. It wants to remember. Remember what? The war, she whispered. The one that destroyed my world. Images flashed in Ethan's mind. Cities made of crystal, armies of light, and machines tearing the sky apart. He saw women like Lyra flying through storms of fire and a great explosion swallowing everything. He gasped and fell to his knees. I saw it. Lyra looked at him, tears mixing with gold light. Now you see why they hunt me. The tribe wants to use the core again and to make war, to rule. But if it wakes fully, it will destroy everything. Ethan stood, anger burning in his eyes. Then we stop them. We stop everyone who wants to use it. Lyra smiled faintly. You speak like a soldier. I'm just an engineer, Ethan said. But humans, we fix things when they're broken. Suddenly, the air shook with a new sound, the metallic scream of engines. Ethan looked up and saw the massive silver ship returning. This time it wasn't just drones, it was the main machine. A towering sentinel with 6 burning eyes and blades that glowed red hot. The tribe panicked as the machine turned toward them. Scanning for energy, Sarah shouted, "Fall back. It senses the core." The ground cracked as the sentinel fired a beam of red energy toward the canyon. The shockwave threw Ethan backward. Lyra raised her hands. Golden shields burst from the ground, deflecting the blast. Ethan coughed and shouted, "We can't stay here." Lyra nodded, her eyes glowing again. "Then we move through the gate." "What gate?" She pointed at the largest glowing symbol in the air. The lines of light formed a circle, spinning faster and faster. A portal. Ethan hesitated. "You sure that thing won't kill us?" Lyra smiled weakly. "Only one way to find out." She grabbed his hand. Together they ran toward the portal as the sentinel fired again. The beam hit the sand behind them. The explosion turned night into day. They leapt through the light, and everything changed. Ethan landed hard on cold metal. The air here was different, thinner, electric. When he looked up, his breath caught. They were no longer on the desert planet. They were inside a vast space station orbiting a dying star. The station walls were covered with the same glowing symbols, the language of the core. Lyra stood beside him, trembling. "This is where it began," she said softly. "The birthplace of my people. The Alarian Citadel." Ethan stared at the endless lights beyond the glass. "You brought us to the heart of your world." Lyra nodded slowly. "And now to save yours, we must destroy mine." Back in the desert, Sarah watched the portal vanish. Her warriors looked at her for orders. "What now, my leader?" one asked. Sarah's expression darkened. "Now," she said, "we follow them to the stars. The core will not belong to humans." She turned toward the sky as the sentinel roared again. "Prepare the ships. The war of light has begun." The space station was silent, like a graveyard of stars. Ethan stood beside Lyra, looking through the glass walls of the massive chamber. Outside, a dying sun burned slowly, its light touching the station's edges with gold and red. The silence felt endless. "This place," Ethan whispered. "It's beautiful, but it feels dead." Lyra nodded softly. "It once lived?" Millions of voices, cities, lights. Now it's only memories. The corridor ahead stretched into darkness. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, reacting to Lyra's presence. Every step she took, the lights followed, like the station remembered her. They entered a circular room filled with floating crystals. Each one projected images, memories of the past. Ethan watched in awe as scenes of the Ilarian world played out. Shining towers, flying ships, women in armor singing to stars. Lyra stopped, staring at one memory, a younger version of herself standing before a council of Ilarian elders. "You defied us," said the elder in the vision. "You refused to use the core as weapon." "I refused to kill for it," Lyra's memory replied. The vision faded, leaving only silence. Lyra turned away. "That was the day I ran. They called me traitor, but I only wanted peace." Ethan looked at her, his voice low. "And they wanted power." "Yes," she said. "And power is all that remains." A low hum echoed through the chamber. Ethan's wrist device lit up. Motion detected. He turned sharply. "We're not alone." The wall shifted, opening slowly. From the shadows, figures began to appear. Not the tribe, not machines, but something in between. Metallic bodies shaped like Ilarian women, eyes glowing dim blue. Lyra's face went pale. "Guardians! Still active after all this time. Friendly?" Ethan asked. "Only to the core," she said. "Not to intruders." The Guardians moved closer, their movements smooth and soundless. One raised a glowing blade. Ethan lifted his rifle. "Stay back!" But Lyra stepped forward, holding out her hand. "I am Lyra of Ilaria. The core is with me." The Guardians paused. Then their voices merged into one, soft but mechanical. Bearer confirmed. "But the human must not pass." Before Ethan could react, an invisible force threw him against the wall. He gasped, pain shooting through his chest. "Stop!" Lyra shouted. "He's with me!" "The human weakens the link," the voices replied. "He must be removed." Lyra's eyes flared gold. The air vibrated. "You will not touch him." Golden light burst from her hand, striking the floor. The Guardians stumbled back, their bodies cracking with energy. Ethan struggled to his feet. "Remind me never to make you angry." Lyra smiled faintly. "I warned you I wasn't peaceful anymore." The Guardians retreated into the shadows. Lyra looked shaken. "They will alert the rest of the Citadel. We must reach the core chamber before the tribe arrives." "Wait," Ethan said. "You mean this station still connects to your people?" "Yes," she said quietly. "And once Sarah enters this place, the Citadel will respond to her commands. If she bonds with the core, no one, not even you, can stop her." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then let's move." They ran through long, curved halls glowing with ancient energy. Ethan's boots echoed as gravity shifted around them. Once, the floor became transparent. Beneath it, he saw endless rooms filled with machines sleeping under layers of dust. "This place could power 1,000 worlds," he said in awe. Lyra replied. "It once did." As they reached a massive door covered in golden symbols, Lyra stopped. "This is it. The heart chamber." The door opened slowly with a deep sigh. Inside, the room was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. A giant sphere suspended in air, glowing softly, beating like a heart. It filled the space with warm, living light. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes wide with emotion. "It's still alive." Ethan could feel it too. The warmth on his skin, the rhythm matching his pulse. "That's it. The heart core," Lyra whispered. "If we destroy it, the tribe loses its power forever. But so will I," Ethan turned to her. "You'll die?" She nodded. "I was born from it. Without it, I fade." Ethan's throat tightened. "There has to be another way." Before she could answer, the air shook violently. The station trembled. Alarms flared red. Lyra's eyes widened. "They're here." Outside the chamber window, bright lights flashed and Ilarian ships arriving through portals. The tribe had found them, and leading them was Syrah. Syrah's voice echoed through the station. "Lyra, my sister, you cannot escape fate. The core belongs to Ilaria, not to a human." Ethan raised his rifle, stepping beside Lyra. "Then you'll have to take it over my dead body." Sarah smiled coldly from the projection above. "That can be arranged." The heart core pulsed faster, its light flickering between gold and red and as if choosing a side. The Citadel shook like a living thing. Warning sirens screamed through the metallic halls as red light spilled across the walls. Ethan and Lyra stood at the center of the heart chamber. surrounded by energy that pulsed like fire and thunder. From the viewing dome above, the Alarian ships descended through the burning sky, their glowing hulls reflecting the dying sun. The Citadel's ancient defenses flickered to life, beams of gold and blue cutting through space. Lyra's face was pale, but her eyes burned bright. "They've come to take the core," she whispered. "They will kill us both if they must." Ethan loaded his plasma rifle. "Then we don't let them win." A deep voice echoed through the chamber, calm, cold, commanding. "Lyra, surrender the core. Your time as its bearer is over." Sira appeared through a holographic gate, her armor gleaming silver blue. Behind her, the tribe of Ilaria marched in perfect formation, warriors of light, their spears humming with power. Lyra stepped forward. "You call yourselves guardians," she said. "But you are conquerors now. The core was never meant to serve your greed," Sira smiled faintly. "And you, little sister, were never meant to protect humans. They are weak. They destroy everything they touch." Her eyes turned toward Ethan. "You proved that." Ethan met her gaze. "Maybe humans break things," he said, voice steady. "But we fix them too. We fight for what we believe in even when it hurts." Sarah tilted her head. "And what do you believe in, human?" Ethan looked at Lyra. "In her." The chamber fell silent. Lyra's golden glow brightened, reacting to his words. The core pulsed faster, like it heard the truth in his heart. Sarah frowned. "Then you will die for her." The walls exploded. Ilarian soldiers stormed in, their energy spears slicing through the air. Ethan ducked behind a pillar, firing burst after burst from his rifle. Sparks flew everywhere. Lyra raised her hands. Waves of golden energy shielded them both. Every blast of her power pushed back the attackers, but each time she used it, her body weakened. "Lyra," Ethan shouted. "You can't keep doing this." "I must," she said through heavy breaths. "If I stop, the core will fall to them." Sarah advanced slowly, walking through the storm of fire like a goddess untouched by chaos. "You're killing yourself for a species that barely understands peace," she said. "Look around you, sister. The core was meant for us, not them." Lyra's voice trembled but remained strong. "It was meant for life, for balance." Sarah raised her spear and the air turned icy. "Then balance will be restored when you are gone." She hurled the spear. It flew like lightning, slicing through Lyra's shield. Ethan jumped in front of her. The blast hit his shoulder, throwing him backward. He fell hard, his vision blurring. Pain spread through his arm, but he forced himself to move. "I'm not done yet," he growled. Lyra knelt beside him, tears in her glowing eyes. "Ethan, you shouldn't have," he smiled weakly. "Told you." Humans are stubborn. The core behind them started to react, spinning faster, its light flickering between gold and red. The citadel walls shook again, deep cracks spreading across the floor. Sarah looked up in alarm. "What have you done?" Lyra turned to the heart core. "It's waking fully," she said. "It's choosing." The core's voice filled the chamber, not loud but deep enough to make their bones vibrate. "You fight for control, but the light was never meant to be owned." The floor broke apart, floating fragments of metal hanging in midair. Time seemed to slow. Sarah shouted, "Stop this, Lyra! You'll destroy us all." Lyra closed her eyes. "Maybe that's what's needed." Ethan grabbed her hand, pulling her close. "No, there has to be another way." She looked at him, her golden eyes soft. "Ethan, the core needs balance, human emotion and Ilarian wisdom. Alone, either side will destroy it. Together?" He understood. "You mean, both of us?" She nodded. "We merge with it. We become its guardians, not masters." Ethan hesitated. "That means we won't come back," she said gently. He stared at her, then slowly smiled through the pain. "Then let's make it count." They stepped forward together, hand in hand into the light of the heart core. Sarah screamed, running toward them, but the energy surged before she could reach them. Golden light erupted, swallowing everything. Images flashed, stars being born, worlds forming, memories of every living thing. Ethan felt no pain, only warmth. He heard Lyra's voice in his mind. "Now you see? This is life." And then, silence. When the light faded, the citadel floated quiet once again. Sarah opened her eyes slowly. The heart core was gone, replaced by two figures made of light. Standing together in the center of the chamber, they looked human and Ilarian, neither, and both. The figures spoke as one, The balance has been restored. The core is free. Sarah fell to her knees, eyes full of awe and grief. Sister, the figures smiled gently. Protect your world and ours. Learn before the light fades again. Then they dissolved into the air, becoming part of the Citadel's golden glow. Outside, the dying sun flared one last time. And across the galaxy, faint golden lights began to appear. Small, quiet signs of new life. The stars burned quietly now. Where once the Alarian citadel had glowed like a weapon, it now floated in silence, and no longer a fortress but a monument. The endless hum of machines had faded to a calm, living rhythm. It was not death. It was peace. From orbit, the citadel looked different, wrapped in a soft golden ring shining gently across the dark of space. That light reached even the farthest human colonies, and every world that saw it called it by a new name, the Heart Star. Far below, on the desert planet where it all began, life had returned. The sand no longer burned red. Strange blue plants grew in the valleys, nourished by the energy that had spread from the core's awakening. The air shimmered with warmth instead of storms. A group of explorers in gray uniforms stood near the remains of the old mining station. One of them pointed to the horizon. Do you see that? A faint golden line traced the sky, connecting the clouds to the stars. Yeah, another said softly. They say that's where a man saved an alien girl. And together, they saved everyone. The others were silent for a moment. Then the youngest whispered, "Do you think it's true?" An older woman smiled. Maybe. But even if it isn't, stories like that keep us human. Above them, in the Citadel's silent halls, Sarah walked alone. Her armor was gone. She wore a simple cloak of white light. The place that had once echoed with orders and war now whispered softly, as if the walls breathed again. She stopped before the heart chamber, or what remained of it. In the center floated two orbs of soft light, pulsing slowly in harmony. She kneeled. "Lyra," she said quietly, "I can feel you. You're not gone, are you?" The lights pulsed brighter, and a gentle voice echoed through the chamber. "We're not gone, Sarah, only changed." Sarah looked up, eyes wet with tears. "You became the core. We became its balance," said another voice, Ethan's voice. Human and Alarian together. The light finally understands both. Sarah smiled sadly. "You saved us all." "No," Lyra's voice said softly. "You saved yourself. You chose to stay, to learn. That is the true victory." The light faded slightly, like a heartbeat slowing. Sarah bowed her head. "I will protect this place. I promise. Then our legacy is safe." And with that, the orbs of light dissolved into golden dust, spreading through the chamber walls like fireflies. Years passed. The citadel became a symbol, not of power but of unity. Humans and Alarians worked together, sharing knowledge once lost to war. A new city was built under the Heart Star's glow. Its streets were filled with voices of both species, laughing, learning. Living children of both kinds grew up hearing the same story. Of a human named Ethan Cole who saved an alien girl from the desert, and of Lyra of Ilaria, who gave her life to protect two worlds. They were called the Bridge and the Light. Some said they became gods. Others said they simply became the stars themselves. But among those who studied the Citadel's energy, there were rumors. Small, quiet, impossible rumors. A scientist once working near the Citadel's core reported hearing voices through the data streams. At first she thought it was interference, but then a clear sound came through. A man laughing softly, and a woman replying in a calm voice. "You still fix things, even up here." And then silence. When the scientist tried to trace the signal, it vanished, only leaving a faint pattern of two heartbeats within the light spectrum. One night, as the Heart Star glowed above both worlds, Sarah stood on a balcony overlooking the rebuilt city. She held a small crystal pendant that glowed faintly gold. It was the last piece of Lyra's armor, a reminder of her sister and the human who had changed everything. She whispered into the night, "You were right, Ethan Cole. Humans are stubborn, and that's what saved us." The wind carried her words upward. For a moment, the sky above shimmered, two streaks of light crossing paths like falling stars. Sarah smiled. "Goodbye, my sister. Goodbye, human." The streaks faded into the dark, but the light they left behind lingered, a trail of hope for every world that looked up. And somewhere, Beyond time and matter, two voices whispered through the stars. Do you think they'll remember us? They don't have to. They'll feel us in every sunrise, in every breath of peace. A soft laugh echoed. You sound almost human now. And you, she said gently, sound almost Ilarian. Together they laughed. Two souls now made of light, forever watching over the worlds they saved.